Hi everyone, this video is for those of you who are starting your preparation now in May and you're planning to catch round 1 and round 2 deadlines. So let's first talk about these deadlines and when you have to write your GMAT, and then let's talk about what your preparation plan should look like. Now if you are typically applying to a North American school or a Europe school, then your round 1 and round 2 deadlines are going to be by end September to the middle of October for round 1 and end December to the first week of January for round 2. Some schools like ISB will probably have their deadlines 1 to 2 weeks earlier than that because ISB's deadlines are typically mid-September and end November. If you want to do justice to your application and catch these deadlines, then we recommend that you write your GMAT by mid-August max if you're planning on catching round 1 deadlines, by mid-October if you're planning on catching December deadlines. Essentially, we are asking you to give anywhere from 1.5 to 2 months in order to work on the rest of your application. So why do you need to apply so soon? Why do you need to give 1.5 to 2 months on the rest of your application? Trust me, to do justice to your application means gathering a lot of information, means spending time and effort on every step of the application process. That's when you're maximizing your chances of admission and maximizing your chances of scholarship. So the other crucial elements, not every last element, but the crucial ones, the time consuming ones that go into your application is the networking and B-School selection process. Now some parts of it you can do simultaneous to your GMAT preparation, but for some test takers they might want to get the GMAT score in place before they use that to determine what schools to apply for, what would be aspirational schools and what would be safe schools where they have pretty much guaranteed chances of admission. You need to attend business school events, you need to talk to current students and past students in order to gather as much information as you can about the program so that you are making an educated selection of schools, maximizing your chances of admission and scholarship, and not just basing this on the ranking process. Once you have your business school selected, you need to work on your application essays. This is again a time-consuming process because of several factors. Number one, each school is going to ask you for anywhere from 3 to 5 application essays. If you're applying to 5 schools or 8 schools, that's a lot of essays. The application essays are best done when you're being introspective, when you're understanding your own goals, your aspirations, your motivations, and you are aligning them as well as you possibly can with what the business school has to offer. So that's again a lot of research, a lot of thought, a lot of information that has to go into your application essays, making it time consuming. You need to get letters of recommendation. Now your recommenders can't give a to whomsoever it may concern letter. They have to give a separate letter of recommendation for each business school. Each school has its own customized questions. Even though a lot of them are very similar, they're still customized for each business school. Which means if you are applying to 8 schools, they have to go through the process 8 times. And that means giving them enough time to do it and building a relationship now with them so that they will take that effort. You can't be breathing down their neck saying, my deadline is tomorrow, give me 3 recommendations. That's not going to work. Finally, you might want to set some time aside to make sure your documentation is in place, because we've had our students realizing, 2 days before their application deadline that they have misplaced their transcripts from their undergraduate program. If something like that happens and you are prepared early on, then you have time to sort those issues out before the deadline. So these are the reasons you write your GMAT at least 1.5 to 2 months before the application deadline that you're trying to catch. Alright, so can you still catch round 1 deadlines? You can. You have less time to do it. You have just about 3 months to do your GMAT preparation. Now, we generally suggest that if you're trying to catch round 1 deadlines, you start by like March or something like that, so that you have enough time to complete your GMAT preparation and write the GMAT again if that becomes a requirement. But starting in May is still not too late, provided that you have some amount of readiness for the GMAT. If you're good in quant, if you're good in verbal, you can leverage those skills, maybe preparation that you have done for other tests, and use it for your GMAT preparation. Don't worry, even if your readiness is not there and it's at a 0, you can still catch round 1 deadlines depending on your target schools and score and depending on how much time you have available right now. If you can spend an average of 3 to 4 hours of preparation on a day, that's an average. Spend time less on weekdays and catch up on weekends, but spend an average of 3 to 4 hours a day on preparation. And if your target score is not like a 740 plus, or a 715 plus in the focus edition of the GMAT, but a lower target score because of the kinds of schools that you're applying to, because you have a lot of experience in a strong profile, because you have a different profile, and so on and so forth, then you can still do justice to your GMAT preparation within these 3 months. If one or all of these factors hold true, you should be able to write the GMAT by mid-August. Alright, so how do we plan your GMAT preparation process that you're writing in, whether it be in August or October, whether you're catching round 1 or round 2? First things first, start with a diagnostic test. We have a filling diagnostic, a wzko.in/diagnostic TCAS test, so that we are able to measure the GMAT readiness that we were just talking about. Even if you're catching a round 2 deadline, take the diagnostic test so you know what you have to plan in terms of your preparation over the next few months. Once you take your GMAT diagnostic and you have a score, set a target score. Now start at the high level and say my GMAT target score for the overall test is this much. I need a 675 plus, I need a 655 plus, I need a 715 plus, based on the programs that you're sort of targeting and the amount of scholarship you desire, and also your profile. Then break it down to the sectional level. If you're targeting a 675 plus, for most Indian test takers, that means having a strong quant. You need a Q90, 85 plus at least. 88 is a good score to have. You need an 80 plus in verbal and data insights. Now break that down further into what it translates to practically. How do you get there? You need an approximate 90% accuracy if these are your target scores that you have. Okay, so now I know my overall target. Now I know what sort of accuracy I am aiming for. What does that translate to in terms of my everyday preparation? You need to ensure you have a strong foundation. The stronger the foundation you have, the better you're likely to score. The stronger the foundation you have, the more you will be able to leverage that foundation towards a 90% accuracy. Which means you need to set time aside as part of your preparation process on learning concepts, on learning formulae, on learning strategies to answer the questions. One of the common mistakes that a lot of test takers do is they jump straight into practice. Oh yeah, I remember the math I learned in school, and then we'll just do practice. And a lot of people do random practice, in the sense that they don't do it topic by topic. They don't organize their practice. One question is a speed time distance question they're practicing. The next one is on inequalities, and there's no structure to the learning process. Structure the learning process, organize it, do it step by step, and lay a strong foundation. Learn your concepts and then make sure you're able to apply those concepts through extensive practice. Watching other people solve questions, like watching Bhaskar's videos and my videos on this YouTube channel, is not going to be enough. When you watch our videos on our channel, pause the video, solve the question on your own, and then listen to our explanation. If you're not actually putting pen to paper or, mouse to graphic tablet or whatever, and actually solving the question, you are not going to get the necessary practice that you need. And this practice that I'm talking about is not practice test taking, it's just practicing questions. Practice test taking comes as the next step when you start taking mocks. So when we're planning out our study plan, we're going to make sure we have time enough for all of these. Now I'm going to give you a 16-week study plan. This 16-week study plan is meant for people who are catching around 2 deadlines and are starting in May. If you're planning on catching around 1 deadline, you don't have 16 weeks to afford. So compress the timeline. You're spending not an average of 2 hours a day. You're spending an average of 3 to 4 hours a day, and you're bringing the 16-week plan down to 11 or a 12-week plan. That way, you will be able to write the GMAT in the first week of August. Even if you need to write it one more time, you can still get it done by end August, and you can meet your end September and early October deadlines. So what's the 16-week plan? The same 3 aspects that I talked about, your foundation, your practice, and mock test. I'm just giving you a timeline on how you can spread that out. Do your foundational exercise over 8 weeks, and this is for Q&V, that's quant and verbal sections of your GMAT. You're spending the first 8 weeks more on quant and verbal, very minimally on data insights, if at all. That's because the skills that you learn in quant and verbal are the skills that you're going to bring in data insights as well. Conceptual learning is not different for data insights. Application of that concepts in a different format is what you need for data insights. So what you're going to do is you're going to start by laying your foundation in quant and verbal and then leverage that into data insights practice. In these early stages, you're like halfway through the 16-week plan, I still haven't done much data insights. You want to touch on it, please do. Please understand what the question types are. Please understand the basics of each of the 5 question types. And data sufficiency, you can practice along with quant as well, because the same quant concept, how do I apply it in problem solving? How do I apply it in data sufficiency? So that part you can definitely incorporate into these 8 weeks. The rest of data sufficiency, hold off for just a bit. Now, when you are doing your preparation over these 8 weeks, I would focus on only one topic on a day or on a sequence of days. Say you're setting 2 hours aside for your preparation. You start with speed time distance. You're going to do speed time distance today and tomorrow. You're going to learn the concepts, what's average speed, what's relative speed, what are the different ways in which it can be tested, what do races questions test, and then you're going to practice about 20 to 30 questions on that, and you're going to analyze that practice. Within speed time distance, you want to bring your accuracy up to your target 85-90% accuracy before you move on to the next question type. Now, this next question thing that you do can be another quant chapter. You can start working on a CR question type next if you want to mix up, quant and verbal every week. We're going to do one thing at a time and get it in place before you move on to the next. If you are catching around 1 deadlines, then compress this 8 weeks into 5 weeks. So you don't do speed time distance over 2 days, you do it over 1 3.5 hour session instead of 2 2-hour sessions. Then you move on. The next stage of your preparation is to practice quant and verbal so that you stay in touch with it. But in the next 3 weeks, you're going to spend most of your time on your data insights, leveraging whatever you have learned over these 8 weeks, whatever you have practiced over these 8 weeks into data insights. So 3 weeks of as much as possible data insights practice with a little bit of quant and verbal thrown in so that you don't lose touch with what you learned over these 8 weeks. Now that about 80 to 85% of your preparation is done, the next step is to start taking your mocks. You do a little bit more data insights practice and you take your first mock, maybe 2 mocks over the next 2-week period. Now at this stage of the preparation, you're spacing your mocks out so that you're able to analyze them and you're able to see, okay, so these are the strengths that I have developed, but I still have these 3 weak areas that I need to work on. So I'm going to go back to the drawing board on these 3 areas and I'm going to make sure I practice them enough before I come back and take the next mock. I'm giving you a buffer of another 1 to 2 weeks, maybe even up to 3 weeks for rinse and repeating the process. A mock, 5 days of practice to leverage to close up any gaps in your preparation. Another mock, another 5 days later, another mock, and so on. Now, if you want to do this in about 11 to 12 weeks, as I was saying, if you're trying to catch around 1 deadlines, then do this in about 5 weeks instead of 8. Don't cut down on too much time here because you want to ensure you have a good data insight score. But 5 weeks of mock taking and practice can probably be cut down into another 3 weeks. So that will be about approximately 11 to 12 week plan for those of you who are capturing round 1 deadlines. Now, irrespective of whether you're doing round 1 or round 2, these are things I definitely want you to do to make the best out of your 12-week or your 16-week study plan. First of all, a lot of note taking and customizing your cheat sheet. Don't download a formula book or don't just say I have my slides here in my Wizako's GMAT Pro course or online companion and I can just revisit that anytime. It's been scientifically proven that if you write as you study, you actually process information better. So having your own notes allows you to, 1, remember these concepts better. 2, it allows you to customize those notes. You can have additional focus given on your weak areas so that you are able to highlight it and say basically, Shweta, don't forget this concept. You're bad at relative speed, so watch out for these 2 things. That's the mistake you most often make. So you tell yourself what mistakes you're making in your notes and you revise that before every test, before every practice question. You're going to be more aware of what you need to work on, what you need to watch out for, and you're going to end up with a higher accuracy, right? Apply strategy and not just instinct in data insights and verbal. As I said, there are concepts, there are formula, there are strategies for every last question type, for every last chapter in all of these 3 sections. Which means try not to just practice questions, just applying gut instinct. Try and bring your concepts in, try and learn your strategies well, leverage that foundation, even for something that a lot of test takers perceive as subjective in verbal and in data insights. They're not. Trust me, they are very standardized as the quant section is, which means you must spend as much time on conceptual foundation as you do in quant. And you also need to have an error log and do your analysis. So these 3 actually go hand in hand. It's when you apply your strategy that when you analyze your question, you will be able to discern where exactly you made a mistake. If you're not applying your strategy, you will have no clue why you went wrong. So maintaining an error log and doing your analysis is enhanced by the fact that you're applying your concepts and strategies. And then the learning that you're getting from that analysis, oh, this is the thing I need to watch out for, gets customized into your notes and cheat sheet. My final best practice, as I mentioned earlier, space your mocks out so that you're able to go back to the drawing board, so that you'll be able to analyze, practice, and work on your weak areas between each mock. So yeah, that's my guideline for you if you're starting in May and you're working towards round 1 or round 2 deadlines. I want to make sure you're aware of a few freebies. There is a free CR starter guide on identifying the conclusion, which is the most important part of critical reasoning. I've been telling you to structure your thought process and apply strategies. Download the free starter guide so that you understand how to structure the first step in critical reasoning. It's free. Just use this link wzko.in/CR-starter. You can also sign up as a free trial user to check out our online companion. 10% of the course is free. So if you're starting your prep now, that's a good way for you to do sort of a check to see your GMAT readiness again, and what is required of you in terms of preparation. Also, you can attend a free global class, you can attend a free quant class by just signing up for a demo on this link. So make sure you reach out to us and make sure you use your free resources as you kick off your preparation. Gain that momentum by using free resources, and then you can determine what path you want to go down in terms of how you're going to best get additional preparation material. Alright, so that's it from me. Make sure you like and subscribe the channel. Good luck with your GMAT preparation.